For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dhlamini. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South African political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Some writers are suggesting that while we have come to accept that our ruling party, the ANC, is in disarray, also the DA is in the same position. What do you think of this?
I think there's a lot of instability in South African politics at the moment. Everyone accepts, or I think everyone accepts, that the ANC is in trouble at the moment, that there's a lot of division between them, that you have litigation in 3-4 provinces about the legality of elected leadership. You've got the leadership in the Free State who has exceeded their term of office by about 6 months. You have the possibility that delegates for the conference in December will be challenged, and whatever decision comes up could lead to violence or even collapse of the conference. Some people suggest that Zuma might want to collapse the conference if he fears that someone that he doesn't want will become president of the ANC. So the ANC, people accept, is in disarray. It's been something for a long time, but also this so-called presidential race indicates the divisions between individuals within the ANC, even though they are not divisions marked by political understanding, by awareness of choices, of visions, and so forth. And you have situations like this week, I think it was on the 9th, Monday, Sihle Zikalala, the legally deposed chair of KZN province, says, he's talking about spouses of leaders standing for positions, and he says no one ever objected when Winnie Madikizela Mandela, wife of Madiba, became leader of the UDF. Now, as I was in the UDF, Winnie was never a leader. The only woman who was in the leadership of the UDF, there were 3 presidents. One of them was Albertina Sisulu. Secondly, as far as I'm aware, Winnie Madikizela Mandela never belonged to any structure of the UDF. That was one of the sources of tension which people are erasing now because they are rethinking the history and they're romanticizing the role of Winnie Madikizela Mandela. There were a lot of tensions between her and the UDF, and the reasons for the tensions was that she was not prepared to make herself accountable to any structures inside the country. There were hints that she was really accountable to MK and ANC and all of this, and a lot of people who didn't want to be accountable to the UDF were really saying, I take my instructions from Lusaka. And so what I'm not wanting to deal with specifically with is whether she was connected with Lusaka or not, but the fact that a leader of a province doesn't know the history, that Winnie Madikizela Mandela held no office in the UDF, yet he ascribes to her being leader of the UDF. I mean, it's astonishing. Anyway, we're talking now about disarray. Now, the DA, about a year ago, was in a very good position. It appeared from the local government elections that in alliance of various sorts, coalitions and other looser alliances, that the DA would be able to form, as they have done, local governments in 3 metros, which had previously been held by the ANC, in addition to Cape Town, which had already held. And it set about establishing these, and for a few months it appeared that there was a fairly amicable relationship between the DA as the strongest party and the other parties with whom it was in alliance, partly because of the role of older people like Bantu Holomisa and Terry Lakota. But what we have seen open up in the last few months is that the DA, as the strongest party, is not able to manage coalitions. It seems to think that being the strongest party makes you the senior partner who can dictate terms. Now the EFF and I think the UDM have said, you have never won the elections. You need to recognize that you can't dictate the terms to the other coalition partners. You have to sit with them and discuss what is done. Now we saw in Nelson Mandela Bay that first of all they have suspended removed the deputy mayor, and they formed an alliance with the Patriotic Alliance, that is Gayton McKenzie and, I was going to say McKenzie, Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Kunene, and they didn't consult the other coalition partners with this, and the way they removed Bobani may well have been illegal because they didn't have 60. They needed 61, I think, for a quorum, and the speaker claims that he counted people who were walking out. They were staging a walkout because they were still in the chamber. There's a legal case about that. There was also the situation where the DA initiated this move to dissolve Parliament, and it didn't consult the other opposition parties, and they voted against them, and they were humiliated. One also gets the impression that the DA is spending a lot on court cases. They're very good court cases in many ways, but you really need to build your strength as an organization, and that may not be happening. Even apart from the problems I've mentioned, Cape Town, which is the showcase, the Western Cape, is in disarray. You've got the Premier who's suspended from DA activities. You've got the Mayor who's suspended from DA activities. You've got another member of the Mayoral Council, J.P. Smith, who's suspended from DA activities. You've got an alleged scandal around improvements to the house of Patricia de Lille. I don't know if it's true or not true. So you've got a situation where the DA is not showing that it can govern better. You've got situations here as well, I should have mentioned, where Mashaba is not experienced, or he's not willing to abide by what the law of the country is. He makes statements about the rights of foreigners or about the rights of people who are homeless, which are in contradiction with what the Constitution and the Constitutional Court has found, and it comes across in line with the perception that many people still have of the DA as being unsympathetic to the poor. So there's a problem. Even though the ANC is waiting to be displaced, the DA doesn't seem to have its act together.
So what does all of this mean for the 2019 elections?
Well, you know, it's still 2 years to go, or 1.5 years to go, and either the DA finds a way of remedying its relationship with its partners. You must remember the EFF is very difficult to deal with, so that if you have to find a way of relating to the EFF which doesn't make them angry with you, showing contempt for them. But on the other hand, you don't want to fawn over the EFF and lose your identity as a party, because the EFF's identity is very important for it. Although that's part of the problem, the EFF is still, some people still think that whites are running the show, that this chap Madikizela who came in the Western Cape is Zilla's papa, this sort of thing. A whole lot of these things that are being said in some circles of the DA with whom I've spoken, not all. ANC is in trouble, and you can see that the sort of things that made trouble for them, the Gupta scandals, the corruption, they're not stopping. I mean, today, if you read the headline of the Star, the Minister of Finance is continuing to pummel the PIC chair, Machila, asking for new information, and this may, and you have Chwete, the spokesperson, saying, if you are alleged to have done something wrong, well, then you have nothing to fear if there's an investigation. In other words, he is accepting that these allegations against Machila, who's already been subjected to 2 inquiries, that they may be valid. So they still continuing to create the disarray over state capture and things like this, and the fears that people have over the PIC being captured. So ANC is not correcting at this point. However, who knows, given that the DA may not be able to hold a coalition together, ANC will still get the most of the votes almost for certain, and it is in a position, numerically, better position to form a coalition if it spends the next 2 years wooing the EFF and a few others. Maybe they can come in there, even though after December we don't know if there'll even be an ANC. Can split so badly, or just doesn't know.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the ANC and the DA in disarray.